Hello dear students, welcome back. Today we will continue reviewing our reported speech statements. We talked about orders and requests in our last lesson, and we said that when we are delivering someone else's orders or requests, we use to or not to. We gave those examples and then we have started our statements. We said that if someone used present simple in the direct speech, I have to use one tense past, for example, which is past simple when we're delivering that sentence. So let's continue giving examples, delivering statements. For example, my mother says, your dad is late again. So there were some key points that we should be careful with. I will start reporting this sentence. My mother told me or said that. It started with a possessive adjective. It says your. This sentence was directed at me, so I will transform it to my. I have a present simple be form. I will use was like this. Let's talk about also the negative statements. For example, my gym instructor hasn't completed our lessons yet. Again, I have to be careful with the tense of the sentence, the possessive adjectives, object or subject pronouns. Mary said that her gym instructor. So as you can see, the tense of this sentence is present perfect. It means that I have to use past perfect, hadn't completed, and I also have another possessive adjective which I will deliver as their lessons yet. In this one, at the end of the sentence, we have a time expression, which is yet. We used with present perfect. I didn't change it, I didn't delete it from the sentence, I just used it because it is okay to use yet with past perfect as well. My husband won't attend your birthday party tomorrow. I have feature simple as the tense. We have a possessive adjective which I will use her instead of my. And then one more possessive adjective, I will say my, because this sentence was directed at me. I have also a time expression which I will deliver as that day. My sister, or the other day. My sister said that her husband, I have won't, which I will transform into wouldn't attend my birthday party the other day. So, you can see that our tense in this sentence is present progressive, which I will use past progressive instead when I'm delivering the sentence, and a possessive adjective I will deliver as his, an object pronoun, and a time expression at the end of the sentence. Ali said that his coach was being very aggressive towards them those days. Let's go on with question sentences in reported speech. In question sentences, we have a yes-no question type and a WH question type. We will start with yes-no questions. For example, have you seen the new film? Again, I am going to use one tense past than the use that is in the direct speech. I will say, Ali asked me or wanted to know or wondered. And then, this is important, I will either use if or whether, and then I will put who was directed this sentence. I had seen the new film. So, if I want to make a rule out of it, I will start with who asked the question. Then I can say asked or wanted to know. wondered. Then I will use if or whether. Then who the question is directed to, asked to. One tense past and the rest of the question. Did you do your homework? If or whether I had done my homework. Now let's talk about WH question forms. For example, why did you call her? I will say, my mother wondered why I had called her. Or when will you graduate from university? I will say, John asked me when I would graduate from university. Okay, let's go back to the beginning of the reported speech. We started with orders and requests. We started with the affirmative, positive ones. If I'm talking about an affirmative order or a request, after I put the subject, I can either say told, asked, said. And then the person whom that sentence was told to, and then to. This is an example. John told me to leave my bag here. This is our original direct speech, and then our reported speech here. Take your medicine with you. For example, Mary told me or said that to take my medicine with me. Hurry, we will be late. Jay told me to hurry, we will be late. I don't have to change the subject's pronoun here because it applies for both of us. If I'm talking about the negative orders or requests, I am going to use not to instead of just to. Jay told me not to hurry, he has a lot of time. Don't speak loud, my daughter is sleeping, says Mary. Mary told me not to speak loud, her daughter is sleeping. If we're talking about statements, a positive sentence, a negative sentence, if I'm delivering someone else's sentences, I have to transform the tense of that sentence. For example, if in direct speech, present simple is used, I will say past simple. Or if it's present progressive in the direct sentence, I have to use past progressive. Present perfect also goes to past perfect, past progressive, and present perfect progressive goes both to past perfect progressive. So the things that we should be careful with, starting with our tense, we have just said that. And the other things, the pronouns in those sentences or possessive adjectives and time expressions. For example, if Mary says, I love hanging out with my friends, this sentence is built with present simple. So I am going to use past simple when I'm delivering this sentence. Mary said that she loved hanging out with her friends. So I also transformed the possessive adjective into the correct one in this sentence. John says, my brother called me last night. In this sentence, I also have a time expression. John said that his brother had called him previous night. I transformed last night into previous night, and I was careful with all the object and subject pronouns. Your dad is late again. You can see the be form used in present simple. I transformed it into a past simple one. If I'm talking about negative statements, again, the tense change is the same. For example, my gym instructor hasn't completed our lessons yet. I will say, Mary said that her gym instructor hadn't. Present perfect was used in the direct speech, so I used past perfect in the reported speech. Their lessons, because she said our lessons, yet is fine both in these tenses because I can use it also in present perfect and past perfect. My husband won't attend your birthday party. I have a lot of possessive adjectives and a time expression. I turned won't into wouldn't, and I was careful with the possessive adjective changes and the time expression. Okay, now we will continue with relative clauses. The main reason we use relative clause is to actually shorten our sentences. And when we are doing this, we are using some relative pronouns. I can use that, which, who, whom, where, when. And I have two sentences. Basically, for example, John is a lawyer. He is 50. Look at this sentence. I have one common figure of speech. When we're shortening two sentences into one and when we're using relative clause, I have to have a common figure of speech in these sentences, which is John in this case. In the second one, he, the subject pronoun, refers to John in the first sentence. And how do I shorten these sentences using relative clause? I will start writing my first sentence. And when I come to the first use of the common figure of speech, I have to choose the correct relative pronoun, which can be who in this case. The important thing is you have to put relative pronoun right after what you are defining or what is a common figure of speech. In this case, you can go on with whichever sentence you want. It depends on what is your main purpose of telling and what is the extra definition you have. I will go on with the first one. John, who is a lawyer. Now it's time for the second sentence. I will not rewrite the same common figure of speech as 50, for example. I could also say John, who is 50, is a lawyer. What is the difference? When do you use this one and when do you use this one? The thing is, what you put right after the relative pronoun is your extra definition. And the thing that comes last is your main purpose of your sentence. For example, in this one, extra information is John being a lawyer, but our main purpose is that his age, he being 50. In the second one, our extra definition, extra information is that he is 50, and our main purpose of this sentence is he is a lawyer. Let's say Mary works for a big company. Her sister is my flatmate. If you look at these two sentences, in the first one, this is Mary is used as a subject. But in the second one, you can understand a possessing meaning. When this is the case, I have to use whose as my relative pronoun. Again, I will start writing my normal sentence, and when I come to the common figure of speech, I have to use the correct relative pronoun. I chose whose. But the thing here is that if I'm using whose, I have to continue with the sentence that has the meaning of owning something, having something. So, which in this case is the second one. Mary, whose sister, we omit the second use. Then I go back to the first sentence. As you can see, the important thing here, first things first, is to put the relative pronoun right after what we're defining. And if the relative pronoun we're using is whose, I have to continue right after whose with the sentence that has the meaning of possessing something. I omit the possessive adjective and continue with that sentence. After it's done, again, I don't use the subject and go on with the first sentence. John is my brother. His wife is a doctor. You can see one of these sentences again has a possessive adjective which refers to the subject of the sentence. And I will do the same thing. I will again use whose. As we have said, I am going to with the sentence that has the possessing meaning, whose wife is a doctor. Then I go back right to where I left. Like this. If I want to use relative pronoun where, in one of the sentences, that place name should be used as the subject, and in the other one, it should be used as place. And how can I understand that it is used as place? There can be a place preposition, or there can be there or here to emphasize that it is used as a place. For example, this hotel is peaceful. We stayed there during our vacation. In the first sentence, this hotel is used as the subject of the sentence, which as we clarified. And in the second one, in the second sentence, this there refers to this hotel in the first sentence, which is used as a place meaning, which checks all the boxes we need. So I will start writing it. Remember the rule, I have to use the relative pronoun right after what we're defining, where, and after this one, I have to continue with the sentence that has the place meaning, where we stayed during our vacation. Then I go back to where I left in the first sentence, is peaceful. This note is very important because we have two sentences. We used twice the same thing, but the purposes of those uses were different. One of them, it was used as the subject, and in the other of them, it was used as a place. We can understand from a preposition, or we can understand from there, here, such as like that. This venue looks amazing. We want to have our engagements party at that avenue. So, look at the first sentence. I have this venue as the subject of the sentence. When it comes to the last one, you can see a preposition before that place. So in the first sentence, it is used as a subject, and in the second one, it is used as a place, which checks all the boxes we need. So I will start writing my new sentence. This venue where, I will go on with the second one, which has the place meaning, where we want to have our engagements party. The second sentence is done, so I go back to the first one and go on from where I left. Looks amazing. That lovely house is theirs. I would want to live there. So now I know what I should do. I start with that lovely house where I would want to live. The second sentence is done. Go back to the first one where you left. Is theirs. This is pretty important when it comes to when. In one of the sentences, as we have said, you have to have the place meaning, which can be understood from prepositions, place prepositions, at, in, on, or there can be there, here. But in the other sentence, it must be used as the subject of the sentence. And I also cannot change the order of these sentences, which you can see at example here. This hotel where we stayed during our vacation is peaceful. I started with what is common, and then right after my relative pronoun, I have to go on with the sentence that has the place meaning, and when it's done, you have to continue where you left. This venue looks amazing. We want to have our engagements party at that venue. As you can see, we have a preposition here that indicates place. This venue where we want to have our engagements party looks amazing. That lovely house is theirs. I would want to live there. That lovely house. After what is same in those sentences, I put the correct relative pronoun and I went on where I left. Now it comes to when. It is pretty similar to where in terms of the rules, because in one of the sentences, the time should be used as subject, and in the other one, it should give us a time meaning. Let's give an example. For example, summer is a season. I have vacation during summer. I will start with the first sentence. When I have vacation is a season. Or June is my favorite month. Flowers bloom in June. In the first sentence, it is used as the subject, and in the second one, we have a time preposition, and it is used as a time placement. June, when flowers bloom, is my favorite month. Let's talk about whom. When we are using relative pronoun whom, again, in the first sentence, it should be used as subject. And in the second one, we need to have an object placement. Let's have a look at in the examples. Ali is my cousin. I call him every 2 days. As you can see in the first sentence, Ali is used as the subject, and in the second one, we have an object pronoun refers to Ali. Whom I call every 2 days is my cousin. Or my flowers are roses. I water them every day. My flowers, whom I water every day, are roses. My sister is in Istanbul. I text her every day. If I want to connect these sentences, I will use whom whom I text every day is in Istanbul. Okay, let's do a quick review of what we have studied in this lesson. We started with why do we use relative clause? What is our purpose? Our main purpose we use relative clause is to shorten and combine two sentences which have a common figure of speech. John is a lawyer, for example, look at this one. He is 50. In these two sentences, John is the common figure of speech. I connected them using the correct relative pronoun. John, who is a lawyer, is 50, for example. These are used in every subject we have. Mary works for a big company. Her sister is my flatmate. The common figure of speech here is Mary, and in the second one, it is used as a possessive adjective. Mary, whose sister is my friend, works for a big company. John is my brother. His wife is a doctor. If I am using the relative pronouns other than that and which, I have to go on after relative pronoun with the sentence that gives that meaning in the relative pronoun that we have. John, whose wife is a doctor, is my brother. Then we have where. Again, we have the similar rule. We have two sentences, the same thing used in those sentences, but one of the sentences, that place name, should be used as the subject, and in the other one, it should be used as, it should give us the place meaning. How I am going to understand it gives the place meaning? There can be a place preposition, or there can be there or here. For example, this hotel is peaceful. We stayed there during our vacation. In the first sentence, you can see the subject placement, and in the second one, you see that there in the sentence refers to this hotel in the first one. This hotel where we stayed during our vacation is peaceful. This venue looks amazing. We want to have our engagement party at that avenue. You can see again the subject use in the first one and the place meaning in the second one. This venue where we want to have our engagement party looks amazing. That lovely house is theirs. I would want to live there. I connected the sentences using the correct relative pronoun, and that lovely house where I would want to live is theirs. Then we talked about when, which I have to use one of the sentences as our subject, and in the other one I have to give a time meaning. How I am going to understand if there's a time meaning? There can be a preposition, a time preposition, at, in, on. For example, during is used in this example. Summer, when I have vacation, is a season. June is my favorite month. Flowers bloom in June. Again, it is used as subject in one of them, and we have a time meaning in the other one. June, when flowers bloom, is my favorite month. I connected the sentences using the correct relative pronoun. Then we studied whom. In one of the sentences, the name should have the placement of an object. Ali is my cousin. I call him every 2 days. Ali, whom I call every 2 days, is my cousin. My flowers are roses. I water them every day. Again, in the second one, you can see an object pronoun is used. So there is an object meaning which we want. My flowers, whom I water every day, are roses. My sister is in Istanbul. I text her every day. In the first one, it is used as the subject, and in the second one, you can see the object placement. So I am going to use the relative pronoun whom to connect these two sentences. My sister, whom I text every day, is in Istanbul. Let's do a couple more mixed exercises. My mother works in a hospital. Her job is to help people. You can understand the possessive adjective in the second sentence, so I am going to combine these sentences using whose. My mother, whose job is to help people. Then I go back to where I left, works in a hospital. Mary likes going on vacations. I will take her to Paris. In the first one, Mary is in the position of the subject of the sentence, and in the second one, it is in the object placement. So I will use whom relative pronoun to combine these two sentences. Mary, whom I will take to Paris. Then I go back to the first sentence where I left. Likes going on vacations. So, how are you going to decide which relative pronoun you're going to use is to look at the placements of the common figure of speech in those two sentences. For example, Saturday is the last day of the week. I go spa to relax on Saturdays. So the common thing in these two sentences is Saturday. In the first sentence, it is used as the subject, and in the second one, you can see the time preposition right before the time we have. So I am going to use relative pronoun where. Right after what is common in those two sentences, I will put the correct relative pronoun, and I will go on with the sentence which has the time meaning, which is the second one in this case, when I go spa to relax. Then I go back to where I left in the first sentence is the last day of the week. School is a place we learn new things in school. As you can understand from the second sentence, I have a place preposition, so I am going to use where, relative pronoun, to combine these two sentences. School where I go to the second sentence, which has the place meaning, where we learn new things. It's done, so I go back to where I left in the first one, is a place. Okay, dear students, thank you for tuning in today. I hope you understood and enjoyed our lesson. In our next lesson, we are going to have our final exam. Make sure you study enough. Take care of yourselves.